Okay.
ATF Accountability Act of 2021.
Is that a law some Republican introduced that's never going to pass?
I'm sure.
Yeah. Get some votes. Yeah, Dan Crenshaw. I love Dan Crenshaw. But it's been a couple years since research. Looks like there's 13. I think there's 13. Oh no, maybe 15.
12, 13, 14, 15 according to
15.
these people. But Tennessee just passed something. I thought that we were...
Well, you guys are getting more liberal too.
Well, you know, Nashville is. Tennessee's not.
Crazy, man. I love Nashville. They just destroy. I was there for the NRA convention. This is a fun, real quick story. Back last time I was in Nashville. It was like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was teaching at the convention on gun law, and it was a good time. I always loved the convention in Nashville. It's always the best. They had, I think, Alan Jackson or somebody playing there right in the street. They had a big concert. And we're up at a cigar bar. And this guy overhears me and my buddies talking. We're smoking cigars, drinking whiskey, bourbon. And he's from New York, of course. And he starts just laying into me because I'm a pro-gun guy. And
right.
You're in downtown Nashville, man. And my friend got involved and started yelling at him. I just obviously took the higher ground. But this guy's from New York, moved to Nashville, Tennessee because it's more freedom, and then wants to still vote the same way.
That's the problem with these people.
It's crazy.
They get out of their areas because they don't like them, but yet when they move to an area where they can do the things they want to do, they want to change it back to where they, the laws that they had before, which is ridiculous.
They're just like leeches, man. It's crazy.
Let's see. Tennessee has become the latest state to soon allow most adults 21 and older to carry handguns without first clearing a background check. So maybe it hasn't been passed yet, but it must be getting close.
Yeah, I hope they do it. I think Ohio, you'll see it within 5 years. You just got to get the right governor in there.
Well, that's what it's all about, is getting the right people in the seat, especially on the, the local levels.
Yeah, we have great General Assembly. It's extremely 6 points for Trump in the last election, but our governor is just a liberal.
Are you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
I think we're ready. I think we got our ducks in a row.
Yeah.
All right, lead heads. We are back with another episode of the Talking Lead podcast, and we got a good one for you. I know you guys have really been wanting this. Anytime I have a lawyer or an attorney on, we talk about gun laws, you guys eat it up. And joining us today, we've got from the, what is it called?
Munitions Law Group.
There you go. I was getting you with the gun lawyer.
Well, I use that term interchangeably.
I like it. It's a great tagline.
It's my old trade name.
And if I screw your last name up, correct me. It's Derek DeBrosse.
Yeah, you screwed it up. It's DeBrosse. We Americanized it.
DeBrosse. You dropped the long E.
We dropped the Frenchism on it.
The French. I like that. Well, welcome in Munitions Law Group. I mean, it's amply named. I love that. How did you guys come up with that name?
Oh, that was a long discussion with my law partner Clay Cheshire and myself. He runs our Louisville office and our Atlanta office, and we originally were going to call it the Gun Law Group. And I don't know. I just didn't think it sounded as professional as I would like. And we were going round and around, and he actually came up with that name, and I just kind of fell in love with it. I thought it made a lot of sense because we do more than just guns, right? We do anything in this industry.
Yeah.
So we can handle NFA, we handle import, export, we handle knife issues, I had a guy who wanted to import tanks from England. You name it, we can handle it. Anything in this industry.
Did he get to do it? Did he get to import the tanks?
It was a while back. If I remember correctly, I believe he was able to do it, and I can't remember how.
Nice.
The guy was well connected. Leave it at that. So
I mean, forget what historically people say the American dream is. It's to own a tank.
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger has a tank. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger has a tank from one of his movies, actually.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that he has a couple of tanks.
Well, I'm in the. I used to be a general counsel, if you will. It's called Judge Advocate for the American Legion, Department of Ohio, and I always dreamed that maybe they'll just give me one of those tanks in the front lawn.
Right. I mean, even if it doesn't operate, just to have a tank sitting in your driveway, you know, is awesome. I got to go to Poland not too long ago, and I got to mess around and drive around and actually shoot a tank.
Oh, that's cool. I never shot one. When I was in the Army, I slept in one a few times, but didn't get to shoot them.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Had a good time doing that. Look forward to going back there. If you ever get a chance to go, over to Poland, great people over there too. Great food. I love to eat. Yeah,
I've never been there. I've been to Cambodia. I've been to the Middle East with my time in the military. Cambodia was great. You can pretty much do whatever you want over there too.
Yeah.
If you have enough money, you want to shoot a bazooka, it's not a problem.
Well, I guess you got to do that anyway, being in the
Army. Yeah, I got to do all that. I actually manned the M249 and the Ma Deuce when I was in Iraq. So,
and we're going to find out more about Derek and his background as we get into this interview. But first, we got to thank all those that make this show possible. Our good friends at Kel-Tec Weapons. Make sure you go show Chad and Matt and George Kelgren, the owner over there, some love. Very innovative company. This is their 30th anniversary, I believe, this year. They're celebrating their 30th anniversary of innovating the firearms industry. And we made a big announcement last couple of episodes. Kel-Tec is going to be hosting us at the NRA this year in Houston. You guys going to be going to Houston?
Derek? We are planning on it. We were planning on going. It was supposed to be Nashville last year, right?
It was. I'm bummed about that. Yeah, I was looking forward to that.
About that.
Been to second,
that was
our second
time.
one. Yeah.
The first one, I guess I told you earlier off air, I actually taught at the legal seminar as a guest speaker, but I was really looking forward to going back. I love Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville's a great town. Houston should be fun too. Should be a good time. As long as we don't get hurricanes.
Right. I was down there for the last time they had it at Houston. It was nice. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was. It was a real good time. I enjoyed it there too. So Kel-Tec will be hosting the Lead Quarters. We're going to be set up there doing interviews, bringing you all the latest and greatest, what's going on there at NRA from Kel-Tec and all the companies. So if you guys are going to be there, Derek, stop by. Would love to have you.
So you'll be at the Kel-Tec booth?
Yep. We'll be set up with the Lead Quarters at the Kel-Tec booth. I don't know what the number is yet, but you can't miss Kel-Tec.
Yeah, I'll put it on my calendar.
As it gets closer to time, we'll be putting out social media posts and letting everybody know who's going to be there, where you can stop by.
It's in September this year, right?
It is September. It's like the first part of September.
Yeah, it's usually in the spring, so that's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. Is that hurricane season? September?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I think it's always hurricane season in Houston.
It could be.
I'm not sure. But go show them some love. The best thing that you can do is go to their social medias, drop them a little thank you, let them know how much you appreciate them making this show possible. They've been behind our show pretty much since we started almost 10 years ago. They've been involved with us somehow, some way in supporting the Talking Lead podcast. And we are coming up on our 10 years. It'll be 10 years this December that we've been doing the Talking Lead podcast. So thank you, lead heads, for all your support. Spread the word, and let's grow that leadhead brigade. I'm reaching over here for my Seal 1 product. Seal 1 is sponsoring our Talking Lead AK Corner, making it possible. And this coming up AK Corner this month, we're going to be talking about the Uzi. And we're going to have IWI on. And we're talking about the history, the ins and outs, the parts. We're talking about the variants and answering your questions. I made a post on social media, so if you guys haven't posted your questions yet, make sure you go and post those questions. To seal1.net, and to use the code LEADHEAD at seal1.net, you're going to get 25% off. And that's the best thing you can do for our sponsors of the show, is go and buy their products. Let them know how much you appreciate them, and use their products. Seal 1's a great product. The reason that I wanted them to sponsor the AK Corner is that the Seal 1 CLP, it's all one product, but they've got several different delivery methods. So they've got like a paste, a gel, they've got an aerosol, but it prevents corrosion really well. So if you're a boating guy, you're a fisherman, your marine type tools and equipment, it's great to put on those as well. Seal1.net, Derek.
I'll write it down.
Write it down.
I got a good friend that's pretty well known in the gun legal industry. He uses Mobil 1 car oil on his guns.
Mobil 1?
Yeah, he does. I think it's 10W40 or something.
Well, it's good for lubing, but for cleaning, I don't know that it's great for cleaning. But Seal 1 does it all. One product cleans, lubes, and protects. With
it's a CLP, right? Basically.
It is a CLP.
Yeah.
Clean, lube, protect.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we use in the Army. I don't even know if the Army still uses CLP. I can't. That was a long time ago.
There's no telling. No telling what they use these days. But yeah, we've got more codes coming throughout the show, so stay tuned. And if you're watching our new YouTube video, I'll have little scrolling things on the YouTube video that'll have links where you can go, and it'll have the codes on there that you can use these codes and take advantage from all of our sponsors. I just started building a new rifle the other day too, Derek.
What kind?
It's an AR, but it's in 7.62 by 3.9. And why? Okay. And you're saying, why would you do a 7.62 by 3.9 in an AR platform? Because most people say it sucks. Well, because of the AK corner, I wanted to put up a AR 7.62 by 3.9 against a AK-47, and just test accuracy, reliability, and that type stuff. Plus, I had a 7.62 barrel that I needed to do something with it. Yeah. So I thought, hey, why not? So this is it. I got it almost finished.
That's great.
And
what's the manufacturer on the receiver?
So this is an Anderson arms lower.
Okay. Yep.
Just standard. I've probably had that thing for I don't know how long. But Mission First Tactical, another sponsor of the Talking Lead podcast, boom, they sent me one of their new aluminum minimalist stocks. Which they're composite ones. The plastic ones are really, really good. I love those. And you would think that this one would be a lot heavier, but it feels like it's a little lighter. I haven't actually weighed it to see, but it's adjustable, but it's aluminum. So they got aluminum minimalist butt stocks now at Mission First. And then I got their handguard. They're a 15-inch handguard on here. They sent me a gas tube also, so I've got their gas tube on here. And then their grip, I've got a grip, but I haven't changed it out yet. But this is the 7.62 right here. And I'm waiting on a bolt carrier.
Okay.
So once that comes in, and I read somewhere, and I don't know, you may know this, is a 6.5 Grendel bolt the same for as a 7.62 by 3.9?
Yeah, I don't know that.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer.
So you lead heads, you may know that because I do have a 6.5 Grendel bolt. So I don't know if that would jack things up or not, but they seem to be the same to me. But
well, let me know. I'm curious.
I will. I'll let you know. I'll test it out. I've got one.
Making your Franken gun there.
My Franken gun, yeah. All my guns are pretty much Franken guns unless the manufacturer sends it to me. I love building my own firearms.
Yeah, I'm actually making my own AR-15 from the ground up. I've never done that before. I have the know-how. I'm actually an AR-15 gun armorer, actually. I took a 3-day class on it, but I just never got around to doing it. But Palmetto State used to sell these comical lower receivers. You ever seen them with the engravings on them?
Oh, yeah.
Something funny. And they had one with the ATF meme, the guy looking over the wall. And I had to buy it. So I bought it.
The Kilroy one? Is it the Kilroy?
Right? Yeah, so I think it's like Freedom 15, I think is what they call it or something.
Nice.
And I have to get that thing made up. So I have all the parts. I just had to sit down and do it.
Well, our mutual friend Curtis, I'm sure he'd be happy to help you out with that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he definitely could do it, I'm sure.
No doubt. Do you have a caliber in mind that you want to build?
It's just 5.56. I mean, I got more guns than I need. I mean, I got 150 plus guns.
Shut your mouth. There's no such thing as more guns than you need.
I got a new truck, and I had to make the decision: should I keep buying guns or start putting things in my truck? So,
well, now you can start kitting your truck out for your guns. I did.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
So, what'd you do? What kind of customizations did you do your truck?
Well, I'm actually really into flashlights and lumens. I actually thought about getting actually make my own flashlights. I thought about putting on a custom plate that said lumens, but I thought that'd be too much. No, I put like 60,000 lumens on the front of the truck, another 40 on the back. I put different fog lights in, different tires, wheels. I put a vault in the console, put a vault behind the back seat to hold my AR. It's decked out.
That is awesome. So you're into lumens. I've never heard of anybody that was into lumens.
My wife makes fun of me. Every flashlight in the house is basically 1,000 lumens. She's like, it's too many lumens. She gets mad at me. It's too bright. She's like, I need a light that's like 60 lumens when I get up at night. I'm not blinded.
Have you checked out ASP's flashlight? ASP?
I have not. No,
they've got some great flashlights. I usually have like 4 of them sitting here. I went camping this weekend. And I packed a lot of them up and took them with me. But they're dual fuel, so you can use standard regular batteries,
right?
Or they've got the rechargeable that just use your cell phone charger.
Yep.
And you can charge them up like that. But different varying lumens, but they're 1,000 and plus kind of. But really nice handheld. Got the programmable where you can do the flash, you can do the different color on some of them.
Yeah, I don't need all that.
All that kind of stuff. But they're really good, durable flashlights, and the charge on them lasts a long time.
Yeah, I every time I see a new flashlight gadget, I usually end up buying it. I just got a new one that was an LEO light. That's an angled light. I think it's called First Light. Does that sound right?
It could be. You said you make your own lights. That intrigued me as well.
Yeah, there was I used to get into these forums where you'd find out, you buy, the casing and the different apparatuses for the light. You could pick the different colored peel. I would get like an orange peel on it, so it looks like it's incandescent when it's not.
Right.
Different things like that. And I used to build them when I was really into training. I needed a good light, tactical EDC light, so I used to make them, and I haven't done that in a long time. I mean, Surefire lights are great, but they're just so damn expensive, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's the good thing about the ASP too, is they're not unaffordable. And if you use the code LED20 at ASP USA, you're going to get 20% off any of their lights or light products.
LED20.
LED20. And
I'm writing this down.
I could probably hook you up, so.
All right. Well, I like that. Send me a bunch of flashlights.
I'd probably give you the hookup with my buddies over there. They'd probably be interested in sending you some stuff.
I may have more flashlights than guns. I don't know. So
I have slowly started to accumulate lights. I have at least one flashlight in every room.
Oh yeah, easy. I have one in my truck. I have several in my truck. Absolutely. I'm trying to remember the name of that company. It's a really great light, and it's an angled light. You know what I'm talking about? It looks like an L. Mm-hmm. It's a little pocket one. It's for law enforcement, and it's got a flash mode where it looks like a cop, like the cherries and berries.
Oh, okay.
They're flashing. Yeah. So you can mimic that too. It's really, really cool light. I can't remember the name of the company though. I'm looking for Phoenix makes good lights too. I have some Phoenix lights.
Yeah, I've heard of Phoenix. We'll get you set up with some ASP lights. But
okay, yeah.
Leadheads, if you're interested, go to ASPUSA.com. Use the code LED20, and it's just their light products. Anything flashlight or light accessories, that code applies to. We're working with them on getting a code for all their other stuff. They do the red guns, the training guns, as well.
I got magazines in that one.
Got a nice knife, red gun knife. They've got an AR, red gun, and they've got the magazine. So you
I like that those magazines come out. I've never seen a training gun like that.
Yeah, this is a new offering from them, and it's
that's nice.
Butt stock on the AR. They've got a whole slew of other firearms there. Pretty much, I think they've got most everything except Glock, because Glock's real buttholes about giving people license to copy their products. But this is like a SIG copy here.
Nice. I like that.
Great trainers.
I have a blue gun at home.
Yeah, so basically this is their blue gun, is the red guns. They've got the red
But it's got a detachable magazine. The slide doesn't work on that, I'm guessing, right?
This is not a slide on this one.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Probably something that they're going to look at doing in the future, but
they're
evolving, They're evolving.
Yep.
But eventually, hopefully, we're going to get codes for their cuffs, their batons, all that stuff coming soon. So be looking for that, leadheads. So, Derek,
Oh,
We had talked a little bit prior to this, and we do this thing called the Trains and Planes segment.
okay.
And our engineer of the Talking Lead Jackwagon train is the Gunny, Arlie Ermy himself. So we're going to let Gunny bring that train in so we can haul off some Jackwagons.
Let's do it.
All right.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the Talking Lead Jackwagon of the Week, so brace yourself, baby.
All right, so the train has stationed, and we've got several Jackwagons that we want to take care of, and I'm going to start with you Leadheads. So you Leadheads had sent me one here, and let me find it. This comes from Joe. And it says, vaccine BS and anti-jackwagon tactic. It says, hey, Lefty, you said the so-called authorities are restricting air travel to coerce vaccinations. So a couple of episodes back, I had mentioned traveling to Chicago, and that Chicago, if you were from certain states, they were requiring that you showed proof of vaccination or something like that before you could enter their state. And Tennessee at the time was one of those states. And before we left for Chicago, we found out that they had since updated that and changed it, and you didn't have to do that. But we were kind of looking at all the things that are going down with this vaccination, and that companies for their employees, a lot of them are requiring that people get the vaccination. If you want to go to an event, sporting event or something like that, we're like, this is something that they could use against you. If you don't have the vaccinations, like, hey, if you want to go see this concert, you want to travel, you want to do this, you're gonna have to show proof of this vaccination. So it's something that they could use to force you to get the vaccination if you didn't want to. So that's where he was coming from with that. So he says, I think that's breaking the Nuremberg Code law when they do that. Check it out. We hung Nazis in Nuremberg trials for killing concentration camp prisoners with forced vaccines, so we passed the Nuremberg Code back then, which makes it illegal to force or coerce anybody to get vaccinated without their permission and full knowledge of implications. And since these warp speed vaccines were tested for like 2 whole weeks, nobody knows what the hell the side effects are going to be. And then he goes on and says, hey, man, I just found out you're on YouTube too. So, yes, we are now posting our podcast to YouTube. So if you're listening to this, you want to watch us, you want to see my ugly mug and my beautiful guest face, you can go to YouTube. I'm recording these now, which I don't know why people enjoy watching people sit there and talk to each other, because it's not like we're doing a whole lot. I'll hold up stuff, occasionally, products and whatnot, but whatever, I aim to please. Says, I saw you waving around a nice buck knife. Yes, that was a custom-made knife that CJ Buck had made for me over at Buck Knives when they hosted us for SHOT Show, the last SHOT Show. He says, I can't carry a knife that big in my jackwagon state, and he doesn't tell me what state he's in, but I can carry my little Fred Perrin street beat knife alongside my belt buckle in that horizontal polymer sheath. Very good. So there you go, Joe. So I'm not. Are you familiar with the Nuremberg Code?
I'm not. Not at all. Not something I've ever read, or I don't think we taught about it in law school to my recollection.
Yeah, so I think it has to do more with human, what's guinea pig? What's a human guinea pig called? Test subject.
Mm-hmm.
I had it up here. Where's it at? I got
Google.
so many tabs open.
I just did a quick search on Google. Uncle Google tells me that the judgment by War Crimes Tribunal in Nuremberg laid down 10 standards to which physicians must conform when carrying out experiments on human subjects. And a new code that is now accepted worldwide. It's a standard of ethical medical behavior for the post-World War II human rights era. The Nuremberg Code.
Test subjects. So, I mean, I guess we could be considered test subjects with this vaccination. You know,
Guess we could, sure.
we just booked a trip to like the Cancun area.
Yep.
And we were looking, and before we booked it, we didn't look in to see what their vaccination guidelines and all that were there. But supposedly you still have to wear like a mask, like if you're in a building or something like that. But as long as you're outside, you don't have to wear.
Yeah.
You don't have to wear a mask, and they're not saying anything about having to show proof of a vaccination either. But you do have to get. Go ahead.
Have you been out of the country since COVID?
No, I haven't. We
went to Jamaica in January, and we had to get tested before we went. And we use a travel agent's buddy of mine. We're going to Nassau, Bahamas in January this year, and we have to get tested before you go, and when you come back, you have to get tested.
Well, as far as I know, we don't have to get tested before we go, but before we come back, we have to.
Yeah, we had to get tested. I had to go to the Kroger, which is a grocery store in Ohio.
No, we have them here too. K. Rogers, we call them.
Yeah, K. Rogers. We had to go to K. Rogers Minute Clinic to get the vaccine test, and then you could fly. So bizarre.
Yeah, but you don't have to have the vaccine. You just have to get tested, right?
Right now, I'm a little concerned about it. I was asking my travel agent if I got money back, and he doesn't know if they require that because, I just haven't made my mind on what I'm going to do about that yet. So it's definitely something that I have to ponder on.
Yeah, definitely. If you're going to be traveling out of state, buy that travel insurance. If you have to cancel, I don't know that
it does much, to be honest with you. I tried to use it last year because if the test for the COVID came back positive and I couldn't go. And I found out it wouldn't cover it. I was a little bit irate about it. Yeah, I was pissed off. So I didn't get it this time. I don't think it does much. My wife lived in Tokyo during the tsunami, and they wouldn't pay for her ticket when she had to reschedule it because of the tsunami.
Oh, and they wouldn't because of the tsunami?
They wouldn't
because it's a natural thing.
It wasn't covered in the policy somehow. I don't know. I don't sell insurance, but I don't have a lot of hope for those policies, so I don't know if insurance actually works for travel. I don't think it generally does.
I don't know, but anyway, I'm locked into it. Looks like, so I'm gonna have to apparently wear a mask. But you have to wear them on planes.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous.
Cancun's not far. What is that? 3 or 4 hours, maybe?
Yeah, I mean it's not far. But then you got to get on a bus, and then they got to bus you to wherever the actual resort is, which is in like River de Maya or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, have fun. I was in Acapulco in college. It was good.
The Acapulco dive.
It was a good time. I liked it.
Did you do the Acapulco dive?
I don't remember what I did. I don't remember any of it, to be honest with you.
I remember growing up, the wide world of sports. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. I remember that. Yeah.
That show. They had like this diving competition, and it was in Acapulco.
Okay.
And they were calling it the Acapulco dive.
I don't remember that. Yeah. No, we definitely didn't do that.
That's back in the day. I'm probably a little bit older than you are.
Maybe.
So on the Nuremberg and the Nazi tailcoats, our next jackwagon comes in from Leadhead Ed. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this or not, but there's a pastor up in, I guess he's a preacher, pastor, whatever you call him. I don't know what religion he is, but he refused to let the police and health authorities come in, I guess, to one of his services to do a test or something on the people. I don't know what their laws are there in Canada right now, but apparently his congregation and he forced them out and wouldn't let them do their testing or whatever. And then as he's driving down the interstate, he gets accosted by an army of Canadian police officers. I mean, there was probably a dozen police cars that pulled this guy, this old preacher dude over, and his assistant or whatever, I don't know, and arrested them, forced them into their police cars and arrested them. So Pastor Arthur Pawlowski and his brother David Pawlowski were stopped on their way home from church by a motorcade of heavily armed police vehicles. Informed they were under arrest for allegedly violating Alberta's Public Health Act, the two were removed from their car, placed on the wet ground in the middle of the highway, handcuffed, and dragged into police vans. And there's a video of this too, and I watched the video, so you guys can go and do that. Actually, I think I can play it and share it.
Joe Rogan talks about this on his show a few times. He's pretty irate about it too. It's really interesting to hear him talk about it.
Let me share my screen here.
They are behind.
Audio settings, take snapshot.
See what is about to happen.
Somehow I can share my
in Canada, democracy in Canada, full force.
Share my screen.
Unbelievable.
You probably can't hear that, can you, Derek? It's playing right now.
No, I cannot. No.
Hello, sir. Gangsters are here.
So, as per the injunction that was served on
screen
Arthur
share
and David back here, I am to place both of them under arrest for breaching the Queen's Bench order.
Both of us.
See my screen now?
Yes, I can see it. Yep.
What's your name, officer?
Andrews, 5244.
Okay.
So how do you feel being
Still can't hear it?
No.
We got a gangster here.
Volume up.
How do you feel being a Nazi and breaking the...
What's his officer? What's your name and number?
Calgary or Alberta?
What's your name and number, please?
I think it was
Constable Darwin.
Alberta.
A lawbreaker. You're breaking the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. How can you look in your mirror, man?
So I have advised both you and Mr. Pulowski over there that you guys are both under arrest. Please.
So, I mean, they're being very polite.
Comply.
The police officers are.
Well, they're Canadian. They have to be.
It's just in their nature.
I've never been to Canada, and I refuse to go.
Yeah. So
Open the door, man.
the preacher
Stop.
getting out of the crotch shot of somebody. That's nice. The guy videoing. He's about like me operating the camera.
Get you to stay in the car, sir. Stay back.
Scary stuff. Such a threat. They
A harmless old preacher dude, because he had church service. And he's calling them Nazis, psychopaths, Gestapo psychopaths. He's yelling out.
What's your name, officer?
The guy filming's asking all the officers' names and badge numbers. So the preacher's saying to him right now, do it Nazi style. Do it the Nazi style.
picking him up.
Now he's yelling. Taser me, kill me, he said. Two officers picking him up, dragging him. His brother is down on the ground now. Three of them get him. Is that considered resisting arrest?
This is not communist China. Don't you guys have family
different
and
laws,
kids?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Canada?
So there's that.
That might be completely legal in Canada for all I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a travesty in the United States.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I mean, I don't know all the facts, but, you know, if he didn't do anything other than hold a religious service, I'd be irate.
Yeah, so I don't know the full story on it, but from what I read, it was, you know, they were having, I guess they were having, they weren't supposed to be having church services, maybe. That's what it was.
You know, in our home state of Ohio here, our General Assembly, our Congress, actually restricted the governor's authority under the health laws, if you will.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good thing.
All right. Are we back to normal here? I stopped sharing my screen.
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, good deal. That was the first time I shared my screen, so I didn't know if that would work or not. Obviously, for the audio podcast, you guys didn't get to see that, but just Google it's Artur Pawlowski and David Pawlowski arrested after church service. And this is in Canada. This isn't the United States.
Yeah.
So this happened in Canada. But still, it doesn't make it right either way. So depending on the backstory of that, yeah, definitely Trudeau and his Gestapo there definitely were in the wrong. I don't agree with that at all. So that's our two jackwagons from our lead heads. Have you got any jackwagons? Anybody you want to throw on the jackwagon train, Derek?
Me?
Yeah.
President Biden.
President?
Go right for the top.
President Biden. I don't think you're going to get any arguments from our lead heads on that one. What?
Well, just his most recent executive orders on firearms, they're all just nonsensical. So that's a pretty jackwagon move, in my opinion.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. So, because that's going to be the topic of the show today, obviously. What are some of the things that they're proposing?
The most, I guess, in our face right now is the proposal for the ATF to come out with a rule that basically redefines firearms. And as we were sitting here, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, just you got that from Larry Keane, that talks about that, and they're asking for support, obviously, to fight it. But one of the things he does is basically he's trying to get rid of what he terms as ghost guns, which are the unfinished lower receivers, or receiver blanks is what I like to call them. They're also called 80% lowers, where you can buy these things and then it's just basically a hunk of plastic or metal, and then you finish it out yourself with your own tools, and then you create an unserialized firearm.
Done a couple of those myself. Yeah.
Well, they're going to regulate those if they're sold through dealerships. I believe the rule, and I haven't gotten through all 115 odd pages of it, does not require people like yourself to do anything with it. There's an option if you want to serialize it, you can. But I believe it goes through a dealer, which is where the regulation really takes hold, because the federal government regulates dealers. Then you have to serialize it. So it redefines that, and I believe it redefines it in such a broad way that even internal parts have to be serialized of the gun. It does some other things too from the industry side, which I think is just going to be it's going to be such a disaster, in my opinion. Right now, if you have a federal firearms license or an FFL, and you go to buy a gun, right? You go and purchase a gun, and the dealer has to keep that 4473 record for 20 years, 20 or 21 years. Let's say it's 20 for our discussion. And then you can destroy it. Now they're going to change that. That's going to be kept indefinitely. So all these records have to be kept forever.
That's ridiculous.
Unless you surrender your license, at which point those records are turned into the ATF. So in essence, in my mind, that creates a de facto registry of sorts, right? That the government now has in their possession when you surrender your license, when you retire or whatever. They have in their possession a record. It might not be the most efficient record, but they do have a record of what guns you own.
Yeah. Yeah. So talking about the ghost guns, and you're talking about, they said something about serializing the internal parts also?
Yeah, I haven't read the entire, for the listeners, just so we're clear, I haven't read through all 115 pages. I like to go through these things methodically. That's what I'm trying to do. But from the summaries I've read, I think one of the interpretations is that certain internal components of the firearms may have to be serialized as well. I haven't confirmed that, but that's what I believe even Larry Keane's email says. Let me pull that up. If you get NSS emails, you should have gotten this.
I do get those.
Justice Department is potentially ensnaring all manufacturers by requiring multiple parts to have a serial number, which would then each be a firearm in and of themselves, creating a logistical and regulatory nightmare for an already heavily and constitutionally protected industry. So again, I mean, NSF gets this stuff right. I have no reason to doubt this is wrong, but I just haven't had a chance to confirm it through reading the rule yet.
Yeah, that's very scary that they're proposing something like this, because ghost guns are very prevalent in all the mass shootings that have occurred.
They're not even hiding their intent anymore. I get so animated about this because it's bullshit. I mean, they really, in my opinion, want to take your guns.
That's it.
It's 100% what it is, and you can't sit there and blow smoke up my ass and say it's about safety when it's always more. You get this, they give this law to them, and they want more, and they want more, and before you know it, they're eating the whole damn cake. It's all gone, right?
Well, wasn't it? Is either Pelosi or him or one of them? They just came out and said, "Don't you just want to take guns away?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah, they're not even hiding it anymore. When Obama ran for office, you remember the shotgun picture?
Yeah.
Where you're shooting. They don't even do that anymore. They come out and their platform now is anti-gun 100%. They don't even have Hunters for Obama or anything like that anymore. They don't even try to court the gun right.
Yeah.
The gun movement.
The gun movement, yeah. The gun advocates.
Yeah, thank you.
So The 80. So this would get it. What about the 3D printed guns? Does this fall under that also?
I think their goal is to regulate 3D printed guns, especially, as well as these other 80% lowers, blank receivers, and such. That's their goal on this law, but it's so broad it affects the entire industry.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
And like you said, if they get into serializing all the other parts, or any other part for that matter, and calling it a firearm, just look at all the bullshit we got to go through right now just to get a firearm.
And Dan Crenshaw, as an interlude into what we talked about off air, has proposed a bill. What was it? The ATF Accountability Act of 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, they passed these rules, and there's really, you have a comment period, but after that, you have to sue. You have to file a lawsuit. That's going to take 2 years to work itself through the court system.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what I think Crenshaw has proposed is some sort of administrative procedure remedy when these rules are promulgated, so that you can challenge them, and maybe effectively have your say. Because not only are, people have to understand in this country, this doesn't only affect guns and the consumers, it affects families. These companies employ people, and their families rely on that.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Absolutely. And these people, if they can't support themselves, you have more unemployment. And these are, again, as Larry said in his email, it's a constitutionally protected item. This is not like we're making anything nefarious. You're making legitimate items.
Right. And it's my understanding that if something is it's a constitutional right, now, I mean, they can regulate laws and do all that, but I mean, look at the tax stamps and things like that. It's supposed to be illegal for them to be able to tax a constitutional right. So these tax stamps that we have to pay, there's taxes on ammo, it's illegal for them to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about, this brings something to mind. The DC Heller case, right? The original big Supreme Court case from 2000. It actually came down the year I graduated law school. I remember that. And Scalia is one of my heroes from the standpoint of justices. He's an amazing writer, just one of those brilliant thinkers I've ever come across. And he actually was there sitting on the bench when I got sworn in the U.S. Supreme Court. So I actually got to interact with him in that regard.
Very cool.
But anyhow, he made one mistake, in my opinion, in that decision. He said, and I'm going to paraphrase or butcher it rather, but he said something in the opinion to say this is not to say that longstanding prohibitions on things such as machine guns are unconstitutional. Well, he's saying that because it's longstanding, but why is it longstanding? That doesn't make it constitutional, right? You're saying now it's constitutional to have that regulation because it's been around for so long. But that doesn't mean it's constitutional.
Yeah.
It just means no one successfully has challenged it. I believe the National Firearms Act is unconstitutional, but no one's ever successfully been able to challenge that in court. So one of the, I think, more poorly worded things that Scalia wrote in that opinion, unfortunately, but nevertheless.
So for our listeners who aren't familiar, District of Columbia versus Heller, 554 U.S. 570, 2008, was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution protects an individual's rights to keep and bear arms unconnected with service in a militia or traditionally lawful purposes such as self-defense within the home, and that the District of Columbia's, is that your picture with Scalia?
That's Dick Heller.
Oh, Dick Heller. Okay, there's a glare on there. I can't see.
And Dick signed the syllabus for me. I met Dick at the NRA convention.
Nice.
And that's Dick. That's the guy that's who brought the case, actually.
Very nice.
So,
it says also
nice
stated
guy.
that the right to bear arms is not unlimited and that guns and gun ownership would continue to be regulated. It was the first Supreme Court case to decide whether the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to keep and bear arms for self-defense or the right was intended for state militias. So
as we talk today, that's kind of the cornerstone of what we're discussing. When
Yeah.
we talk about gun jurisprudence, since 2008, this is now an individual, in 2010, an incorporated right to the states, meaning the states cannot restrict it unconstitutionally. Not all, as the country was founded, it wasn't necessarily that all the Bill of Rights were incorporated to the states, meaning the states had to abide by them. But it is clear now that the Second Amendment must be abided by the individual states. So that is the cornerstone of where we start. And now we're moving into this case, New York versus, what is that case? I sent that to you earlier.
the new one,
Yeah.
this would be like the second.
The second New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case. and they're actually hearing it's a big case. There have been no real significant Supreme Court cases on gun rights really since McDonald. And a lot of people in the gun community have been dismayed with Chief Justice Roberts because of that, because he's basically alluded to that he would vote against them. And then we got Amy Barrett into her seat as a justice. And now we're bringing this New York case, and it basically is going to stand for the proposition. The question presented is, does the Second Amendment apply outside the home? Is the Second Amendment protect your ability to carry a gun outside the home without a concealed carry license or even with a concealed carry license? I haven't read all the briefs yet, but that's essentially what the summaries say. So we're all excited to see what happens with this case.
So it's New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Inc. versus Corlett.
Yeah.
And this will be over a decade after it ruled that the Second Amendment protects the right to have a handgun in the home for self-defense. The Supreme Court agreed on Monday to decide whether the Constitution also protects the right to carry a gun outside the home. The justice's announcement that they will take up a challenge to a New York law that requires anyone who wants to carry a gun in the state to show a good reason for doing so sets the stage for a major ruling on gun rights this year.
And there was a previous case under, I think, the same name, and it was kicked out of the Supreme Court on mootness, meaning it resolved itself because New York actually changed its law. There's some weird law that you couldn't bring guns outside the city that was challenged. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
And Kavanaugh, I think, had said in his opinion that we need to take a case to decide these issues. It needs to be addressed because we feel like states are being overly restricted on this right. And so now this case has come around. So it's a big deal. It's a big case.
Yeah. So it says the announcement came just 1 day short of 1 year after the court's ruling in a different challenge brought by the same gun rights group.
Right.
That case involved the New York City's ban on the transport of licensed handgun outside the city because the city had repealed the ban before that case reached the Supreme Court. That's why they deemed it moot.
Right. Well, the issue is how can you regulate somebody that's outside of your jurisdiction? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, but anyhow, I mean, we're getting kind of away from the jackwagon Biden thing, but
well, it all ties in. It all ties in because this is exactly what they're doing. They're coming after our Second Amendment rights, and they're doing it many different angles.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the White House's website, and we can go through them real quick. There's like 4 big ones. So the Justice Department within 30 days will issue a proposed rule to help stop the proliferation of ghost guns. We've talked about that. The next one, within 60 days, so another month from now, there's going to be another proposed rule to make clear when a device marketed as a stabilizing brace effectively turns a pistol into a short-barreled rifle. Now, you may remember right before the election, there was a leak of such a proposed rule. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they actually, the ATF, what's it called? They did the 80% company. They came in and they did it on the stabilizing brace company. What was the name of the company that was doing the stabilizing?
Oh, that was QL. Yeah. Q got popped. I don't know if they got raided necessarily, but
that's the word.
They got a letter at least. I don't know the details of it, but the way the ATF looks at the brace, and I think what they're going to do is pass that rule that in fact did come down. It's all these different things the ATF will look at. What we call in the law totality of the circumstances. So we look at everything. And when we look at everything, is that a rifle or is that a handgun? How heavy is it? How long is the length of pull? What kind of optic are you using? Are you using a 60-pound magazine versus a 10-round magazine? Ammunition you're using. Exactly. All these different things that are very subjective, even though they say it's an objective standard, it's not.
Yeah.
The length of pull for my wife, who's 100 pounds soaking wet, is very different from me. She's 5'2" and I'm 5'10".
Right.
So the length of pull is just different. And so you can't have this standardized rule on this. I've talked to the inventor of the brace, SB Tactical, and that thing legitimately was designed to help a friend who had a traumatic war injury shoot a gun.
Right.
That's the original intent of it. And so that's gonna come down. I'm not very happy about it. And then the question for me is, all right, say I have a bunch of these braced guns that I want to register. They might waive the fee of $200. Who's going to pay for the engraving? They got to be engraved. Who's going to pay for that? What's that?
They have to be serialized?
when you make your own SBR, like if you take like a 6-hour MPX and put a collapsible stock on it, you have to register it with the National Firearms Act, National Firearms Transaction Registry. You got to pay $200. You have to engrave the name of the owner, the city, and state. So my trust is called the DAD trust, right? The DAD trust. So I register my NFA items to that trust. Those are my initials, by the way. Then it'll be engraved DAD Trust, Columbus, Ohio. So if they're going to make everybody register these brace guns, which there's millions, I think, out there in the marketplace.
Oh, yeah.
Who's going to do all the engraving? Are they going to waive that requirement? And if they make you pay for it, I mean, and you can't afford it, then what? It's a constitutional right, arguably, blah, blah, blah. So it's nonsense, man.
Well, then
more nonsense.
Then it becomes that they're being people who can't afford it. What's that? Discriminatory.
Well, you look at like the Sixth Amendment and your right to counsel, and they'll provide counsel in certain instances where they pay for it. If we're going to have all this gun regulation that you have to go through for person-to-person background checks, who's paying for that?
Yeah.
And if we have to pay for it, if I'm poor or what we call indigent, do I get the government to pay for it?
Well, they're proposing to pay for Uber rides for people to get vaccines. So have you seen that?
That fits their narrative, though.
Another Joe Biden jackwagon. Reason why he's a jackwagon.
Oh, we got a few more for him. Here's another good one. The Justice Department within 6 days will publish model red flag legislation for states. So states that are too lazy to do it on their own, we're just going to do it for you, and then you can just adopt it.
Yeah.
Right. You shouldn't do your own legislation. We'll do it for you because we know better than you. Our governor, who says he's a Republican, has tried to get red flag for the last couple of years since the Dayton massacre.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a red flag in the sense that it should scare the shit out of us that it's it's an encroach on our due process rights.
Sure.
They want to take your property before there's any just reason.
You're guilty
to do so.
before you're tried.
Our office has tried to draft around these issues in our gun trust to try and address those things. If it does come to Ohio, if it does happen, Indiana's got a red flag law. I was flabbergasted. Indiana of all states, one of the most conservative states. Our vice president's from Indiana, and they have a red flag law. Then there's another one here. They're going to do more investigation of community-based violence and all that nonsense. And then the big one, the one I think is most concerning, the president will nominate David Chipman to serve as director of the ATF. David Chipman is a notoriously anti-gun person. I think he did work for Moms Demand Action or something like that, or Every Town for Gun Safety.
Some Bloomberg organization. Yeah.
And you have to understand the kind of power the ATF director holds. I mean, importation of weapons for sporting purposes, they could change that terminology, that standard on what is sporting purposes, could really affect the importation of certain weapons. I don't think he'll actually get appointed, but I think he'll serve as the acting director of ATF. We haven't had an actual director of ATF in years.
Yeah.
It's always been acting director. So that's really concerning. And this is a slap in the face of the industry. This is not Biden trying to unite the country. This is Biden spitting at us. This is what he's doing. He's not uniting us. This is
not at all.
The furthest thing from uniting the people that support gun rights, which is a large part of the country, is appointing David Chipman to act as director of ATF. And that we need to take that very seriously. Very seriously.
Yeah, and that has to go through review before he's appointed, right? It's not just because Biden wants him there. It goes through review, and they have to agree on it. And
I don't think he will. I don't think he'll actually get appointed, but I think he'll be the acting director, which is bad enough. I mean, he's still in there. He's still setting policy and changing the culture at ATF and how people like myself interact with them. We have a really good relationship with ATF. We get along with them very well. We get good results for our clients. ATF gets what they want, and everybody's happy. But it's changing. It's becoming different, and that's concerning.
Well, and that seems to be their narrative also, is because things aren't the way that we want them to be, or the law's not stated the way that it's going to help us and serve our purposes. Let's change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just change the laws.
Well, we have an election coming up in a year and a half. So
yeah, it's too long. It's too far away.
We don't get to vote on the president, but we get to vote on Congress.
We had our shot there. Yeah. And we dropped the ball big time.
Yeah.
Big time dropping the ball. So those are some great jackwagons. And you mentioned a hero. So we do this also, this portion is called the Head Brigade Heroes, where they get a ride on Lead Force One. And the pilot, Derek, of Lead Force One, who would you think the pilot of Lead Force wanted? If Gunny's the engineer for the Jackwagon train, he can handle our Jackwagons for us. Who do you think? And we let our listeners vote on this.
I don't know. John Travolta's a pilot.
John Travolta, yeah. He's not got a good history of keeping people alive, though.
Bruce Willis.
He was nominated.
He was? Okay.
Bruce Willis was nominated.
I don't know who else.
Sullivan, the guy who landed in the Hudson Bay, he was nominated.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
The female pilot that did the same. She was nominated.
Nicolas Cage from that movie where he
Con Air. That would be
Nicolas Cage. I'll vote for Nicolas Cage.
Where were you when we were doing the nominations? That would have been a good one too. No. So our pilot and the winner of the contest is the ghost of Charlton Heston.
Okay. I like it. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good one, but it's not
That's
Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
It's the ghost of Charlton Heston.
Yeah, it's the ghost of Charlton Heston.
Because he's even more badass than the real Charlton Heston.
From my cold dead hands.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Scalia, is that who you were saying is your hero?
Scalia is one of my jurisprudence heroes. I think today I would like to call out the Columbus Police Department SWAT team. They're good friends of mine, and they run a training organization called Sierra Training Group, and I actually got qualified as an FBI sniper through them. Probably one of the few attorneys that's qualified FBI sniper, but and I also got qualified as a BCI or OPATA sniper, which is a state level qualification. So great training, very affordable, and just good guys. They're the Olympic athletes of law enforcement. They just really take their job seriously and want to do the right thing, and they stay out of the political fray and just try to do their job. So and God bless them. They have a hard job right now. So that's who I would call out.
Absolutely. That's a good one. So our lead heads, we'll read theirs. Gio Osmond, hadn't heard from Gio in a while. He's up there in Canada, and he wants to take care of a couple of Jackwagons, which is Justin Trudeau and Bill Blair. Too much wrong to list here, so definitely they're on the Jackwagon train. He's got two big heroes here in Canada, he says. Rod Giltaca and Tracy Wilson of the CCFR, which we've had Tracy on the podcast before. And that's the gun advocates' right group up there in Canada, the CCFR, Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights.
Okay.
Their nonstop fight against Trudeau gun ban, along with all members of the CCFR, and our court battle with the government. So, yeah, absolutely. The CCFR, the NSSF here in the United States, the NRA, God bless their hearts. Here, our concealed carry organizations, all those definitely deserve spots on Lead Force One.
Yeah, I agree. Even the NRA with its issues, it's still our NRA, and we still have to, want to make it better.
It's up to us
to
clean it up, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Any nonprofit, I did nonprofit law for years, and any nonprofit is going to have issues. They just do. Yeah. It's like a family, and you have to work through those issues.
Anytime you got that amount of money, there's going to be corruption.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's going to turn a corner, and it's still fighting for our rights, and I hope that things turn out well for all of us.
Yeah, and they will. They will. And he says, "Oh yeah, my ASP light that I won is still awesome and working great, like day one after almost 2 years." So there's another endorsement for the ASP lights.
I'm surprised I never heard of them. I probably have seen them.
They're good. I'll hook you up with them.
All right, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We'll get you some hands on with those so that you can judge for yourself. And then we got one more lead head nominated hero here. This comes from Jason Edgar. It says, my hero nomination is Brandon Ellis, a Cypress College student in California that stood up to his college professor after doing a presentation that he says police officers are heroes.
Mm-hmm.
His professor tries to push her opinion, and he is calm, respectful, and disagrees with her. This is an example of who is teaching our kids. This young man definitely deserves a seat, and she deserves a ride on the Jackwagon train for sure.
That's a twofer.
It's a twofer. There you go. There you go. So
Love
definitely
it.
Brandon Ellis. I think this happened
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago.
You know, he brings up a good point. I actually teach at a law school here, and I'm a guest speaker at Ohio State University from time to time in a gun politics class. And I'm very encouraged by the younger generation. There really is some logical minds out there, even though we don't see it. I think social media pushes a narrative that's not reality. There is good people out there that are thinking through these problems and are pro-gun or pro-freedom, I should say. It's not even about wanting guns. It's about having the freedom to have guns, right?
Yeah.
And so there is a lot of freedom-loving millennials and even I generation, the one below them, people out there. So I encourage people to keep that in mind, keep perspective about it.
So there's an I generation now?
I've heard it called that, the ones behind the millennials, because they grew up in the iPhone generation. They've always had. I had someone actually tell me the other day, it was one of my students. He said, I grew up watching your YouTube channel. I have like a 60,000 follower YouTube channel. And it made me feel old because I feel like I just started doing that thing, but it's been like 10 years about when you started this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he says, I grew up watching your channel. I was just like, oh my God.
Grew up. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, I mean, once you think about it, 10 years is like, wow. It doesn't seem like
a
that
long
long,
time.
but
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. If anyone gets a laugh, go to my YouTube channel, look at some of my very first videos when I don't have a beard and I look like I'm 10.
What's
It's pretty comical.
What's the name of your YouTube channel? How can they find
Just
it?
Munitions. Just go to Munitions Group.
Just
on
Munitions
YouTube.
Group?
Yeah, it'll pop up.
I've watched a couple of your more recent ones. I haven't gone back
Yeah.
to any of the older ones. So
Well, I used to have a company that would sell DVDs of me going through the concealed carry law, so instructors could just put the DVD in their class. That one debunked when YouTube came out. So I cut up the native data, the raw data, and I spliced it up into episodes on YouTube, so you can still watch it.
Nice. Very nice.
It's a little dated, but it's funny.
Well,
It's comical.
it never gets old. Never gets old.
Yeah.
So that does it for our heroes and our Jackwagons. Unless you got any more. You got any more heroes or anybody you want to take care of?
No, I'm good right now.
I think I've taken care of everybody at this point that I want to. So let's get the train and the plane out of here, and let's talk about Derek and Munitions Law Group. So talk about how Munitions Law Group came about.
Well, I've been practicing law since 2008. I got licensed when the economy collapsed. I think I actually got licensed the same month Lehman Brothers announced that it was collapsing. So I wasn't getting a job. And I went to a very conservative law school. I think it's ranked number 2 most conservative law school in the country. But I did go to the Ohio State University for undergrad, which is more liberal university. So it's kind of a really balanced education, in my opinion. I went to Regent University Law School in Virginia Beach. So when I came back, couldn't find a job. So I just had to hang my shingle, right? So I started doing criminal defense. And estate planning. I actually really enjoy estate and probate work for whatever weird reason, but I do. And so I made my own business, and I realized very early on there was a need for a gun lawyer. There wasn't one in Ohio. They didn't exist really. That's what they made their career doing. There was defense attorneys that would know a little bit about guns, but no one really understood all the intricacies of how the federal and state law played together. So I made it my mission to do that. And in that process, I met somebody by the name of Clay Cheshire, my current law partner from Georgia at the time. He now runs our Louisville office, and he was representing a lot of people in the industry. So I was representing a lot of people on the consumer side, like yourself. And so we joined forces and created Munitions Law Group about 5 years ago, and it's been off to the races ever since.
Now, you guys how many states are you in?
So Munitions Law Group, we've designed it. We have to be very careful ethically, because ethically you can only practice in the states you're licensed in. Newer attorneys are taking what we call the multi-state bar exam, which gives you 8 or 9 states that you can practice in. But that's not how it was when I was licensed. So I'm only licensed personally to practice in Ohio. Clay is licensed in Georgia and Atlanta. We have of counsel that's licensed in Florida, D.C., Illinois. I think that may be it. But then on the federal regulatory side, because you're not in court, essentially, I can do the federal stuff nationwide or even internationally, because we're just helping you interpret regulatory law. That's most of what we do anyways. But if you're in Tennessee and you call me and you want to get your gun rights back, I'm going to need to get Tennessee counsel involved, right? Somebody that's licensed down there to work with me, and I'll work as a consultant. So that's how we kind of operate. Gotcha.
So you could help people that you're not licensed in through being a consultant through a license.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. As long as I'm not interpreting and giving legal advice on Tennessee law necessarily.
Yeah.
So that's why I would work directly with the attorneys and not necessarily the consumer, so they're not misinterpreting what I'm saying, because it can get a little dicey. But
just get licensed here, man. Come on, you're just right next door. Come on.
I'm working on certain strategic states to get licensed in, but I will never take a bar exam again. I refuse.
You refuse to do that, huh? You've had
I'm not doing that again.
All the bars you want to have.
Yeah, that was enough. I'm done with that. So,
so you come from an interesting background as well. You've got a military background. You were in the Army.
Yep.
Talk about that and how that led to your law career.
I was at Ohio State, and I joined ROTC. I did very well. They offered me a scholarship. I turned it down because honest God truth, if you want to know, is I didn't want to do PT in the mornings at 6 a.m. I wanted to go drink beer and sleep in.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. That's what college is about.
Waste of money. So I talked to a recruiter and joined the Army National Guard, got deployed very soon thereafter as a convoy security gunner, and did, I think, roughly 13 to 14 months in Iraq, somewhere in there. And then came back and then finished up my time, and I got out after 6 years. So
you put in 6 years, and then I'm assuming you used the GI Bill to help with your education?
Yep, helped a lot. Yeah, I still have a lot of debt from law school. They didn't pay for that, but paid for almost all my undergrad. I didn't join the Army until I was already out of my freshman year, so I had a little bit of debt from that, but they paid the remaining 3 years. So it was definitely a good decision, life-changing decision. Yeah,
I mean, there's some good opportunities with that. I mean, if somebody's wishy-washy on what they want to do with their life.
Yeah.
The military is a great career path to get in.
Yeah.
It sets you on many different paths.
I had thought about special forces at one point. I was, PT stud in boot camp and in the Army, but then I got fat and lazy, and
that beer started kicking in.
I just got enough of that. We're not going to do that. I'll just be a lawyer. And no, I always wanted to kind of become a lawyer. My dad always said I like to argue. And so I just kind of took that and ran with it. I don't think people understand a lot of times how much of an impact a parent can have on somebody's life just by simple things like that. But he said it to me, always stuck with me. So I followed that and was able to get to where I'm at today, helping people in the industry navigate what we're going through.
Very good. Well, as far as, your specialty, you kind of got a niche there. Are there other companies or other attorneys out there that you're aware of that specialize in just, Second Amendment gun laws?
Sure. There is absolutely other attorneys out there that do gun law. There's some very good ones. There's not a lot of us that really
you don't
do
really
it proficiently.
Hear.
There's Mark Barnes, and there's Jason Davis out in California, and there's Andrew Branca, who's a self-defense expert out in Colorado, and Joshua Prince in Pennsylvania. I mean, we all kind of know each other for the most part, or know of each other.
Yeah.
And there's older ones that mentor the younger ones, and it's really like a little tight-knit family. We all kind of get together at the NRA convention because on Friday there's a big seminar for lawyers. There's about 300 lawyers that come.
Oh, wow.
From all over the country. It's all the gun lawyers in the country that basically come there, and it's continuing education. I've taught there several times, and just a great opportunity to meet those other lawyers.
I should probably edit that part out. That way, these anti-gunners that listen to the show, they'll know where to get all the lawyers at one time.
Right, exactly, yeah. Right. So, but it's really a rewarding education experience if you're looking to learn about gun law. I actually remember sitting through that in I think it was in Phoenix. The NRA convention was in Phoenix back in like 2009 or 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that or not. And that's the first one I went to. I was a nobody. I didn't know anybody. But there was an FBI speaker, Fanny Hasselbacher, who became my first gun law mentor, actually. And that's how I really got my start in gun law, how to really do it professionally. She started teaching me some stuff.
Yeah.
But she was a speaker there. And then I became a speaker there, 5 years later. It was just a really rewarding experience.
And it's got to be so frustrating because the majority of these gun laws are so counterintuitive, to common sense. What we consider common sense. Anyway,
there absolutely is absurdity in gun law. There's 100%. I could point to so many instances of absurdity in the law, and that's because the people that are passing those laws don't understand the laws.
Exactly.
Pro-gun or anti-gun, they don't understand how they work because there's case law out there that's developed how to interpret the law. And so when you read the law and say, "Oh, I'm not convicted of domestic violence. I can own a gun. I pled that out to assault." Well, and in fact, there's a case that says assault qualifies as domestic violence. Right. So there's all these weird, absurd results that we get. And the problem in the legal community is that the lawyers don't even sometimes take the approach to gun law that they should, and they give clients wrong advice. Many criminal attorneys commit malpractice daily when they tell their clients to plead something out, and it ends up affecting their gun rights, things like that. So I agree with you. There's a lot of absurdity in the law. And again, it's because people in the anti-gun movement that are Congress people don't understand guns. And then both sides of the argument in Congress don't understand how the laws actually work.
No. They're just trying to placate to their constituents.
They really are. It can be a nightmare sometimes, but that's why I have a job too. I'm able to navigate
job
that.
security for you.
It's job security because I understand it, right? And I've spent my entire career trying to understand it and doing so efficiently.
Right.
So, but I enjoy it.
What are some of the more, you say absurd, I like that word, cases that you've been involved with? And of course, I know you probably can't give like specifics, but.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an absurd example, like in Ohio. How do I say this so it's very, very simple to understand? So restoration is really my bailiwick. That's really where I've cut my teeth and where I excel, right? Understanding when a felon can get their gun rights back, or anybody who's lost his gun rights, or if they even have lost their rights. One absurdity we have in Ohio, there's two laws that really come into play under federal law. There's the Lautenberg Amendment, which amended the Gun Control Act in 1968. This was passed in 1996 to include you can't have a gun if you're a domestic violent offender, convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. And the law defines that to include it has to be a misdemeanor.
Right.
So in Ohio, it can be a felony of the 5th degree if I beat my wife and she's pregnant. So it's not a misdemeanor.
Okay.
So the federal law doesn't activate on the misdemeanor law. But then there's the felon in possession law. But that's not what the law actually says. It says you have to be convicted of a crime that is punishable by more than 1 year. And F5 in Ohio is punishable by guess how long? Exactly 1 year. It's a day short. So there's no disability at all. But if she wasn't pregnant, it would have been a misdemeanor and I would have lost my gun rights for the rest of my life. But because she was pregnant, it doesn't fall into either one. Now the state will take away my rights, but that's easy to fix under the state law. So you have these weird results sometimes. It makes no sense. I got an even better one real quick.
Yeah.
The immigrant disability. So there's a law, and again, I'm paraphrasing, that says if you're an alien here on a non-immigrant visa, if you're an alien in the United States on a non-immigrant visa, you can't own guns, can't possess guns. So if you're here visiting from like Canada, just visiting friends, you can possess guns because we have a treaty with Canada and you're not here on a visa, right? You don't have a visa.
Mm-hmm.
But if you happen to have a visa, like a work visa,
a legitimate reason to be
visa,
here.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a work visa because it's a non-immigrant visa, can't touch a gun.
That's crazy.
And there's case law on that. There's absolute case law on that. It's crazy. It's nonsense.
That is.
It's all nonsense.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would go bonkers. I would go bananas.
But figuring this stuff out. I
think some of us are probably better off not knowing, the detail that because our minds would just explode.
Well, I like that mentality because it gives me even more job security. So,
well, I mean, there's a reason why you have people like you that do this, so that other people can concentrate on what they do well.
Right. Yeah, I had a more liberal friend, a very liberal friend of me, get into I wouldn't say a debate, more of a discussion about vaccination and people in my circles, why they aren't getting vaccinated. I said, look, my personal doctor said he's not getting vaccinated. Why wouldn't I listen to him? It's like when you hire a lawyer, you listen to your lawyer.
Yeah.
And he said, well, doctors can be wrong. I'm like, but I'm paying him. I assume he's right. Like, why would I hire a doctor and then question his methods and not do what he says, right? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So anyhow, but that was just something I encountered recently.
Oh, well, I mean, I agree with that. If your doctor's telling you that he's not going to do it, then why the hell would I do it? That's just. Yeah,
and he's like in his 70s.
Well, there's a reason he's lived that long.
Right, exactly.
Another reason to listen to your doctor.
Right, exactly.
So Munitions Law Group, you guys are doing the Lord's work for the 2A community. We greatly appreciate that. Give websites as our listeners are listening to this, where they can go and get in touch with you.
Yeah, munitionsgroup.com, munitionsgroup.com. If you go to YouTube, just type in Munitions Group, it should come up. We have an Instagram page. I've really struggled keeping that up to date, and I apologize for that. We did just film a bunch more YouTube videos, so those will be posted soon.
Okay. Now, I want to get to our listener question. I know that you're short on time. Is there any way that if we run long that we can get you back after your meeting?
Absolutely. Yeah, not a problem. We'll do it next week or sometime.
So let's go to Instagram first. I'm going to that post. I made a post. Did you see the post? I posted you with the big hammer. The big certain.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, Curtis sent it to me actually.
Look like a strongman hammer or something like that. Where did you get that hammer? That's my question.
My wife and I were at like an antique store and it was there. So
you just had to have it.
I didn't buy it. She snapped a picture.
Oh,
I should have bought it.
You should have bought it. Hell yeah.
I should have bought it.
Let me know where it's at because I'll go buy that if it's still there. All right, so here we go. First question, giddy up. Is your advice always to wait for a lawyer to be present? I guess if somebody gets rolled up.
Right. So I assume he's indicating that there's some sort of law enforcement interaction. So this is an interesting question that people in this industry have a lot of different opinions on, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of comments on what I'm about to say, and that's fine. But I've investigated this, talked to prosecutor friends about this, talked to other lawyers about this, and my opinion is I've been in combat. I'm a combat veteran. I know what it's like to get tunnel vision. I know how hard it is to process information and think clearly when you have that adrenaline dump. Mm-hmm. So my advice is always to keep your mouth shut and just invoke your right to remain silent and for counsel. And you can't just be quiet and not say anything. You actually have to audibly invoke that right if you can do so. Indicate you're invoking that right. The reason that, in a vacuum, there is an ideal thing you should say about, yes, that person, I was in fear of my life, X, Y, and Z, and I want to prosecute that guy and I'll cooperate. And all. The problem is when you start talking as a human, you want to keep talking. And it gives the officer something to feed off of.
And they know that too.
Right. So you can, as an instructor, stand up there and tell me what I should say, which makes sense academically, but in reality, that's not how it plays out. But you can remember a very simple rule, and that's to keep your mouth shut until counsel can talk for you.
Right.
So the easiest rule to remember is just, silence is golden. I used to put that on my business cards. Just keep your mouth shut. Invoke your right to counsel.
Keep your pie hole closed. Yeah,
that's right.
So I want to ask this one because I want to make sure we get this one in. But I've had several people ask, especially because of like the 80% arms with the ATF going in there, rated them, got their records, find out who all was buying the lowers and whatnot. What do you do if the ATF comes knocking at your door?
Yeah, we had clients where that happens. ATF usually won't come knocking on your door to arrest you. The feds generally, they'll take their time investigating you if they want to get you. I've had calls recently where people have bought things that are in the gray area and they find out the company that made that item might be going out of business or in trouble with ATF, and so they get concerned.
Or from China.
Yeah, I've had that happen where China was selling certain Glock parts that would make guns fully automatic. And
I remember that.
Client got a letter. Yep, client got a letter in the mail saying turn it in. I had another guy whose attorney told him to plead out to some sort of misdemeanor stemming from domestic violence, said he wouldn't lose his gun rights, which was not true. And then ATF showed up at his door when he tried to buy a gun. You're going to have to cooperate with them. Don't look at them and just be mean, right? Don't be crassed or
confrontational.
Yeah, that's the word. Thank you. Don't be confrontational. Be respectful. Say, I'm going to cooperate with your investigation. I'm going to, make a statement, but I want to talk to my attorney first. Basically, put them off until you have a chance to talk to counsel. Does that make sense?
Kind of go back to the first question we had: keep your pie hole closed.
Right, exactly. You say what I always tell people: say if the ATF shows you your door and say they want to talk, you say, "I will absolutely talk to you to the best of my ability, but first, I just really need to talk to counsel."
Yeah, and typically they probably won't show up to your house without a warrant, will they?
Sometimes they do actually, just to let you know that, hey, you can't have guns. We saw you try to buy a gun. You need to get rid of those guns. That does happen from time to time, not very frequently, but sometimes it does happen. Feds usually, in my experience in this industry, don't show up with warrants all the time because they'll take their time to build that case and then they'll show up with a warrant. You usually will have some sort of forewarning that it's going to happen.
Yeah. But without a warrant, you don't have to let them in your house or
not to talk to them or let them in your house. You can honestly just respond, do you have a warrant? Then have a nice day.
Right.
You're within your rights to do that unless you're an FFL, right? This is why it's really dangerous to get an FFL at your home because the ATF has the right to inspect your business premises, I think once in every 12 months, if I remember correctly. So if that's your home, that's your business premise.
Ah,
Right. So there's a kind of a thought that you almost inadvertently waive your right against unlawful search and seizure without a warrant, right? Because now they can come into your business premise.
so if you make your home your FFL location, then they can come in anytime they want and search
I think
anything they want? Or
Well, I'd have to look at the law on that. I don't think that's the case. I think that they can inspect the business premise for purposes surrounding the licensed activity is my guess. I haven't confirmed that. But it's not like they can go up to your
But
bathroom
the fact,
and
once
start
they
looking
get
at
in
your
your door,
medications and
anything
things
else
like
you
that.
got going on there that's questionable, then that's under their scrutiny.
Right.
I guess.
If you got a big bowl of marijuana gummies on the counter from Michigan, well, that's a problem, right? So, yeah, you have to keep that in mind. When people have like outbuildings, sometimes what we'll do is we'll tell them to run the business out of the outbuilding, and we'll get a separate address for that outbuilding,
Right.
so that they're relegated to that.
Yeah. I think that's going to be some of the questions that we have here also is, you talked about a gun trust earlier.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of questions. I'll get to them in just a second. Let's see. Here's a red flag one. If the police show up with either a red flag or search warrant, do you have to open your safe? What is your advice?
Well, it depends, right? I'm going to give you a lawyer answer. First off, every state has a different red flag law. So it depends on how the law was written. I don't know. We don't have a red flag in the state of Ohio. If the warrant actually specifies that they're allowed in the safe, you got to let them in the safe or they're going to cut it open.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, gun safes are like a big tin can. You can get through them with this saw. They're not very difficult to hack into, just so you know. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think the warrant can allow them to get in that safe, but the warrant's got to specify. So you have to read the warrant. It just depends on what the warrant reads. And what you should do is call an attorney right away if they show up at your door and get your attorney involved right away.
What is the best option if you do not have children to transfer your collection to a third party / friend in the event of your untimely passing?
I have this discussion with a lot of clients regarding trust, and this is what I always say. If you have the type of collection or amalgamation, if it's not a collection, where you have enough guns where it's a significant investment, like it's more than 5 guns or something like that, you should look at a trust, because a trust keeps things out of probate. Right, they don't get locked up in the court system where greedy attorneys get their hands on them to sell them, to pay for their fees and all this other stuff. And a trust can deal with the age issues on the beneficiaries and immediate distribution. Harder for creditors to find out about them. Not saying you're avoiding creditors, that's illegal, but it is more difficult for them to know about it. So I honestly believe if you have any type of gun collection, a trust is the way to go, whether or not they're NFA. Our office offers all kinds of gun trusts, NFA, non-NFA, asset protection. We do it all.
So what's your recommendation on an NFA item?
I put it in a trust 100%, because if you die with that gun in your individual name, it is very complicated getting it out of probate if you don't know what you're doing. And a lot of attorneys don't know what they're doing. So they'll say, oh, that's just an AR-15, just go sell it, when in fact it's an SBR or an M16, right? Mm-hmm. And now you've just committed a federal crime. So, and expediting that, right? And there's ways to actually expedite that transfer through probate. That's just some tricks of the trade I've learned over the years that I won't necessarily tell you, but there is ways to get those processed, hopefully in a more efficient manner with ATF if the court's requiring it to be done that way. Yeah. But you don't want those guns to get locked up in probate. In a trust, you can avoid that whole problem, and it's very expensive to hire an attorney to do it too.
But you can still do trust; those are still
100%. At least in my state, you can. In most states, I think you can. I mean, I think in all states, you can put guns in a trust. There might be one state up in the Northeast where you can't do that.
Brett Bedell has a question related to that. He said he created one a few years ago before the fingerprinting was required for all members. Should I update now with info or other trustees, i.e. photos, fingerprints?
I don't know if I really understand his question. So what he's referring to is Rule 41F that Obama got passed by executive order, if you remember that. And what it required was all trustees on gun trusts to get fingerprinted and photographed. It's also the rule that did away with Clio certification and changed it to notification, where you just have to notify the sheriff. So if he goes to buy another gun, all those trustees will have to get fingerprinted. You don't have to, go get fingerprinted if you add another trustee just by the the act of adding another trustee. So I hope that gives him the information he's looking for.
Maybe I think what he was saying was that when he created his, the fingerprinting wasn't required.
Right.
So does that make him, now that they've changed the law, does that affect his? Is it grandfathered in, I guess? Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do anything. If he doesn't want to buy a new gun, he's fine. He doesn't have to get fingerprinted for the old guns. Those are fine. They're owned by the trust. He's good.
But anything new that he
That's
does.
right.
Okay.
That's right.
Going forward, I guess you would.
Yeah.
And then if you carry an NFA item to the range, what sort of papers should you carry, identification or something like that?
If it's held in a trust, I tell you to carry proof that a trust exists. We draft something called an affidavit of trust. It's a one-page document, and you should carry your Form 4 tax stamps or Form 1 tax stamps, as the case may be. It's an interesting question, too, on how you transport the item to the range. You have to look at your state law on whether or not you can transport an NFA item in a car, concealed, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something you're going to want to look into as well.
Okay. And that was the next part of his question, is if I get pulled over while traveling.
Depends on the state law. I don't know what state he's in. In Ohio, it doesn't fall under the purview of concealed carry licensing. So it's, in my opinion,
North Carolina. He's in North Carolina.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It gets really funky though, because in Ohio you can carry guns in a certain way in a car, but then it says we call NFA items dangerous ordnance. You cannot carry concealed dangerous ordnance. So it begs the question: if I put it in the trunk of my car, is it concealed? And if it's concealed, am I violating state law? And if that's a violation of state law, how the hell do I get it to the range?
Right. Yeah. Kenneth H. McGee, has there ever been a case filed against a presidential executive order banning firearms importation from other countries? And if not, how could a group or state go about that?
I honestly don't know. That's something I'd have to look into. How would they do that? I think the Attorney General would be the best person to talk to try to get other attorney generals on board to file some sort of lawsuit regarding the executive order.
It would be very difficult, I would think.
It's a political issue more than anything, more than a legal issue. There's politics and optics involved.
There would be so much red tape and run around. Yeah.
You're unfrozen, by the way.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Yay. Let's take one more.
Okay.
This is from Jerry Black. It says, we've seen advertisements for the USSCA and other companies for personal firearm insurance protection. What does your company offer that sets you apart? And I'll let you answer.
Well, we're not an insurance company. We're a traditional law firm. There's nothing funny about how we do business. We charge hourly. We charge flat rate depending on what the product is or what the service that we're rendering is. But we're a traditional law firm is all we are. There's nothing unique
You
about
are the
us.
People that the USSCA calls when they have a member that needs representation.
Right. And in full disclosure, I used to serve on the legal advisory board of USCCA. Those products are good. I will tell you that they work. We had a client that used USCCA's product, and we had a very large check mailed to us the day after he was charged with a crime. So they do work. Wow. The thing to keep in mind too, your homeowner's insurance will usually have a line item that they'll reimburse for legal fees if you're charged with a crime and you win at court for self-defense reasons. So you can look at your homeowner's insurance too and see if there's a provision like that in there. But again, the big deal is you need the money up front for the lawyer, and traditional insurance doesn't pay it up front. They pay it after the fact.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to really read the policy that you're purchasing and make sure it gives you what you want. And it's clear when it's activated, that they can't get out of it.
Kind of like that travel insurance we were talking about earlier.
That's exactly right. I should have read the policy. But it was only $200. So
actually, one more. This is a good question. This is from Amy Hall. She has a podcast called Her Wild Outdoors. She's been on the show a couple of times. And she's been having some issues with some ammo. So it says, how do you deal with ammo companies giving you the runaround when their product ruins your gun? We have the proof that it was ammo, but they are leading us on a wild goose chase.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a product's liability. Well, nobody was hurt, right? So
she was, I mean, she wasn't like maimed or anything like that, but she was in.
So she had some medical damage.
It was a shotgun, and the ammo exploded, basically.
Okay. So the first question is what are the damages? What do you want out of the situation? Do you want a new gun? Do you want money? And then that determines how we proceed forward. If she is hurt and she wants her bills reimbursed and her gun replaced, she should hire a products liability attorney. or a personal injury attorney, and they should send a demand letter to see if they can settle the case. And if they can't settle the case, that's a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something we do. We don't get involved in those inter-industry disputes. We try to stay out of that.
So you're more rights type stuff. You're not to do with anything.
We'll do a lot of the regulatory and the business, and we'll even defend companies from products liability lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
But we will not sue. We're not a firm that is going to be ready to sue industry members. It's not something that we want to do necessarily.
Yeah. So let's say I am involved in a shooting, a self-defense shooting. Is that something that you guys handle?
100%. Yeah, we do that regularly. It's very infrequent, at least in Ohio. We have Stand Your Ground as of April 6th in Ohio. We had Castle Doctrine before that, and then before that, we amended our standard for self-defense law. So it's gotten a lot better in the last 10 years, and I just haven't seen a lot of self-defense shooting cases come across my desk. It just doesn't happen. What mostly happens is people pulling guns that are charged with a crime when they shouldn't have pulled the gun.
Mm-hmm.
That's normally
brandishing
what we
kind
see.
of thing.
It's some sort of brandishing crime. That's not a crime in Ohio, but aggravated menacing, assault, felonious assault, disorderly conduct, any of those types of crimes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Did you happen to look at the post? Did you see any questions there that you wanted to field?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay.
But
I think that was the main ones right there.
If you want to have me back, I have no problem. We can make it a regular thing or whatever you
Let's
like
do
to do.
it, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, just let me know.
I'd love
we
to
could do it every once a
have you
quarter or something. We'll just have a standing meeting or something. That's not a problem.
So are you out of time?
I really am. I got a judge that's going to call me here in about 5 minutes.
Okay. I've got this thing that I do. It's called the new guy questions. Since this is your first time on the show, I want to hit you with those real quick. And we talked about your military background, Army.
Okay.
Any interesting stories there that you want to share as your time in the military? Not really.
Hey, I'm thinking for a second. I know there's plenty of funny ones. I'm just trying to.
Funny ones are good. We like funny.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
we
one
had
of
a
your
soldier that would always sleep with tobacco in his mouth. I always thought that was kind of amusing. We also gave him the third country nationals. That's the PC term for them. They would sell drugs and pornography, all kinds of stuff side of the road. We were truck drivers, so we were out in the country.
Yeah.
And I think one soldier had bought what's the drug that helps you with marital relations? What do they call that? What's the
Viagra?
name of it? Viagra. So he bought Viagra and stuck it in this soldier's soda, and he drank it.
Oh, nice.
And it did what it was supposed to do, apparently. So,
for hours and hours.
Yeah, it's just soldiers being soldiers, just Joes being Joes. But I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head that stands out.
What is your earliest recollection of being exposed to a firearm or shooting a gun?
When I went to my first gun show when I was 19 years old and purchased my first AR-15, which was my first gun.
Nice.
During the Clinton ban. My dad never took me shooting. My dad and mom are Obama supporters, by the way.
Bless their hearts.
So, well, they taught me how to think for myself, which is why I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
Actually a libertarian, I should say.
Same thing with my parents.
Yeah. In any event, yeah.
My mom loves Biden.
Yeah. Oh, my dad had an 8-foot sign out front of his house in the heart of Trump country where they live, by the way.
Oh, good Lord.
But anyways, yeah, I went to a gun show and I bought an AR-15. It was a Clinton banned AR-15.
Do you still have that AR-15?
I got back from Iraq. I went through some culture shock and dealt with some PTSD type issues, and I just got rid of all my guns. I didn't want to have anything to do with them for about a year.
Yeah.
I carried and slept with a gun for 14 months in a war zone. I didn't want anything to do with them.
You were done with. Well, I mean, that makes sense. And
I came back around.
You re-established that collection. Good for you.
Well, that and then some. And honestly, those guns I had were, I bought them in high school and into college. They were cheaper guns,
Sure.
nothing I really wanted.
Yeah, but still sentimental, like your first AR.
But I will say the first AR was an actual AR. It was a legitimate Armalite.
Oh, okay, nice.
It was an
That's
OD
one
green.
you definitely wished you had back.
I wish I would have kept that gun. It was OD green, flat top. It was back before they were making M4s. It was 20-inch. It was a great gun. Yeah.
Nice. When it comes to pop culture, what is your go-to? Whether it's a movie, a book, music, whatever it may be. just to kind of escape and get away.
I watch The Office.
You like okay.
I can most quote every episode.
So,
yeah.
Do you buy Jim being Tom Clancy's, hero for the what's the?
Yeah, he's a good actor. I think he's annoying in The Office. To be honest, I think he's smug and arrogant in The Office. Him and Pam, I can't stand them. But I mean, all they do is complain and whine and bitch. They're like Kevin Arnold from the Wonder Years. That kid was annoying.
Kevin Arnold, oh my god,
he was awful. I still watch that show too. He is so obnoxious and just.
I met the guy who played his brother.
Yeah. Wayne.
I've met
Wayne
him
Arnold.
a couple of times, and he's kind of a gun guy.
I didn't know that. Yeah, but I do buy him in the Clancy show. I think he does a good job in that.
What's the character's name? I can't remember because
in Clancy,
Ben Affleck's played him. Harrison Ford's played him.
I can't remember.
Chris Pine, whatever that character, but it's a good show. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I
think it's on Amazon if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and then we got. Are you familiar with Jack Carr?
I may be, but it's not ringing a bell right now.
So he's the author of The Terminal List, True Believer, Savage Son. So he's got a book series kind of like Clancy's.
Okay.
He's kind of new on the scene. They're getting ready to do a TV, an Amazon or whatever thing like that with his. That'll be pretty good. That'll be pretty good.
I'm not familiar with it.
What's your favorite movie?
Jurassic Park.
For real? Like the original first Jurassic Park?
Yeah. I mean, bar none, it's the best movie ever made. Yeah, I mean, I was
feel
really
that
into
strongly
dinosaurs as a
about
kid.
it.
I'm still into dinosaurs, honestly. I really like dinosaurs and history and stuff. So yeah, I always tell people that's the best movie ever made, bar none.
It is a good movie.
That is great. Yeah, my dog. I have a Brussels Griffin. You can look up the breed later. They have little beards, and his name is Bill Murray. Bill Murray's one of my favorite actors, and my favorite movie of his is What About Bob? So I watch that a lot.
Mine's Zombieland.
Zombieland's good
with him. Yeah. With him in it.
Yeah, he's got a cameo in it. Yeah,
the cameo, but he makes the movie. You know.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely makes. And of course, Caddyshack. You can't deny him off the.
I mean, we don't have comedians like that anymore because they get canceled.
Yeah,
you just can't. Comedy has suffered in at the altar of cultural PC-ness.
Free speech, crazy. Man. Free speech.
Yeah, absolutely. It drives me nuts. Probably why I gravitated to listen to Joe Rogan a lot lately. But
yeah, I have been listening to Rogan quite a bit too. He's good. There's a new one, Clint Emerson. He's the author of 100 Deadly Skills. I just had him on last episode.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting a new podcast. It's called Can You Survive This Podcast?
Okay.
It's been out for a while, but he's going to start hosting it, and it's a really good podcast. So
check it out.
Check it out. Can You Survive This Podcast?
I'll check it out. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
It's really good. So when it comes to your next wanna have, what's your next purchase? What are you getting? Firearms related, yeah.
I have almost everything I really need.
Needs not got a thing. It doesn't come into play.
CZ came out with a Dan Wesson hybrid.
Yeah.
The smaller one. I think it's DWX maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound right? It's got red on it and stuff. Yeah, I really like that gun. If I got a new hand, I don't really have like a everyday carry gun that's a really nice. Like it's like wearing a Rolex. Like you know what I mean? Like it's a nice high end handgun. So that might be something I've had my eye on, but I don't know if I'd spend the money on it.
Oh, why wouldn't you? Come on.
Yeah, I got other things. We just bought a farm, so
this will play into that. So this next question is: laws be damned, money be damned. What would you buy? What would you own? Anything.
Anything?
Anything.
An island?
Okay, so you just bought a farm, so you'd rather have an island.
I can do whatever I want on my island.
But you do whatever you want on your farm too.
Well, but you're around. There's other people around that can come on easier to get on your property. If I have my own island, I could set up, defensive mechanisms. I can make it my own little country.
I like your way of thinking. I like that.
I could do whatever I want on that. There's a guy who did that off the coast of England somewhere. He bought an old oil refinery outpost, and he sells titles to people. You can go on his website and become like a lord or a duke. of this old, it's like a platform,
and
he made it into his own country. Check it out. It's legit. I'm not making it up. He declared independence, and he's got his own little country there.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's weird. So I'd have my own island. I think that's probably what I'd buy.
That would be cool. We've had a couple of people that have said that, and then when they talked about how they would set up the defensive
Absolutely.
You know, the
I'd bring tanks onto
mini
the
gun
island.
turrets. You'd have
Yeah.
your tank. There you go.
Yep, I'd have tanks and all kinds of stuff.
You get your
so.
tank. You have a landing strip for your Air Force.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Okay.
If you could spend the day at the range with anyone, any group of people, fictional, real life, dead, bring somebody back from the dead, who would you like to spend the day at the range with?
You.
That's a first.
Yeah. No, I like meeting new people on the range. Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Go shooting. I mean, I like shooting with everybody. It doesn't matter who. I don't care who you are, how important you are. I like teaching people, so I'd probably say a new shooter would be probably one of my most enjoyable experiences.
I like it.
But I just shoot with you. We get to know each other better.
Well,
so.
hell yeah. I'm down. Well, let's make that
Anytime.
happen. We can make that happen. So
We'll do it. Let's do it. I got some machine guns. Let's go shooting.
we'll definitely do it. Derek, it's been a pleasure having you on. I know you got to run. Thank you so much for taking the time. Again, give the lead heads all the places where they can follow you, social medias, websites, all that.
Sure. Munitionsgroup.com, and just type in Munitions Group to YouTube. You'll find us there.
There you go. So that does it for another episode of the Talking Lead Podcast. Leadheads, make sure you go and support those that make this show possible. All of our sponsors: Mission First Tactical, SEAL 1, Nemo Arms, ASP USA, Factory 47, 1776 United, and Kel-Tec. And show them all the love. Use those discount codes that we give out quite frequently. And as always, keep your loved ones close.
And your gun's closer. Did I get that right?
And your firearms closer.
Oh, closer.
It's good enough. It's good enough.
I always say on my show, be safe and carry on. So,
be
there you
safe
go.
and carry on. Yeah, that kind of ties in. And make sure you keep Derek on your speed dial
Yeah, you can call me if you need anything or shoot me an email.
when your 2A rights have been violated.